All right, welcome in everyone. Kicking off another deep dive here.
Yeah.
And today we're looking at something pretty interesting.
Yeah, definitely.
It's uh it's why those who built these huge social media platforms are often like the tech CEOs.
Yeah.
They're the ones who are limiting their own screen time.
Yeah.
Like what's the deal with that?
Exactly.
You know, we want to understand what's at the heart of that whole thing
Right.
and then what it might mean for
For the rest of us. Yeah.
for you,
For sure.
for our listeners, out there.
Exactly.
Um And the interesting thing is, like, we have this piece in front of us,
Yeah.
and it's actually two copies of the same piece
Uh-huh.
called The Dark Side of Social Media. Why even tech CEOs limit screen time,
Interesting.
which the fact that they sent us two copies, I think already like kind of
Yeah.
underscores
Yeah, it must be important. Or
like, the importance of this
yeah,
topic.
for sure.
So, yeah, I mean, that's kind of what we're going to be looking at today.
Yeah. No, I think a good place to start is with the fact that like these CEOs, these tech leaders, they have this really unique position, right? They understand how these platforms are built
From the inside.
from the inside out. Yeah.
Yeah.
And they know how they're engineered. And I think the fact that they're choosing to limit their own engagement, their own screen time,
Right.
really suggests that there's something maybe not so great about.
Yeah. Like, they know something we don't.
They might. Yeah, they might. They
Yeah.
built the thing.
Yeah. And if they're like, oh, I'm going to step away from this thing.
Right. Like
Lame.
the chef who won't eat his own food.
Right.
You got to wonder.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So like digging into this a little bit, one of the things that keeps coming up again and again is this idea that being constantly connected actually has like some negative impacts.
Yeah, for sure. And it's not just like a general sense of like, oh, it's bad for you. It's like these platforms can actually change how we think,
Yeah.
how we feel, even how we see the world
Yeah.
through what we see in our feeds, right?
Yeah. I mean, especially because it's not just like random stuff
Yeah,
being
exactly.
thrown at us. It's like
It's curated. Yeah, it's curated.
carefully curated.
Carefully curated, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you think about the kind of data
Yeah.
these guys have access to, right? I mean, it's huge.
Oh, yeah.
So they're probably seeing all these connections between like how long people are on these platforms
Yeah.
and the psychological effects.
Right.
You know what I mean? So they're not just guessing. They're seeing real patterns.
Yeah, they see like the longer you're on there, the more likely you are to.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then you combine that with like
Yeah.
all the ways these platforms are designed to keep us hooked, right?
Yeah. Like what are
Like think about notifications.
the constant dinging.
The
Yeah,
dinging, the buzzing,
Yeah.
the algorithms that are showing us like the most emotionally charged content.
Right.
Like that's not an accident,
Right.
These guys understand how powerful that stuff is.
Yeah, and there's that thing. It's like what is it called? The
You talking about the variable reward schedule?
variable reward schedule. Yeah.
Yeah.
I always
yeah.
mess that one up. Yeah, but it's like basically.
Yeah, it's like a slot machine.
Yeah.
You keep pulling the lever because you don't know when you're going to get that hit of like dopamine or whatever.
Yeah, or that like new piece of information.
Right, exactly. And the crazy thing is,
Yeah.
these guys, the ones who built this, they're acutely aware of how powerful that is,
Yeah.
how addictive it can be.
Right. So it's like they
Yeah.
know it's like a slot machine, and they're like, "All right, we're gonna step away from the slot machine."
Exactly, and that's the point, right?
Yeah.
If the people who understand these engagement tactics the best are actively trying to distance themselves from it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It makes you wonder, like, what are the consequences?
For the rest of us.
For the average user, yeah.
Yeah. Who are like
Yeah.
just letting it all.
Just scrolling. Yeah, and they're not just guessing.
Right.
Like we said, they have mountains of data,
Right.
and they've experienced this digital world.
Yeah.
They built it.
Yeah. So what does that mean for like,
Right.
Bob out there who's listening to this?
Right.
Right.
Like, I think the takeaway here is that maybe we should all be a little bit more critical of
Yeah.
how much time we're spending on social media, right?
Mm.
Because if these guys are setting boundaries for themselves, there's
Yeah.
probably a good reason.
Right. And it's easy to get sucked in.
Oh, it's so easy.
Yeah.
The endless scroll is real,
Right.
but their behavior is like a big flashing warning sign.
Right.
Like, hey, maybe take a step back
Yeah.
and think about what you're actually getting out of this.
Yeah.
You know?
Are you getting anything out of this, or are you just wasting time.
Yeah, I mean, I think it points to like a kind of a disconnect between what social media is supposed to be about.
Like connecting with people.
Connecting with people, sharing information, all that good stuff. And then like the actual effects it has on our well-being, on our attention spans. You know, like if the people who benefit the most from us being on these platforms all the time are choosing to step away, that says something.
Right. So, yeah, I think just to like bring it all home.
Bring it home.
The big takeaway is that even the people who created these incredibly powerful tools for connection, they recognize that being on them all the time can actually have some pretty big downsides.
For sure.
And they're doing something about it.
They're taking action.
In their own lives.
In their own lives, yeah.
So what do you think? How does...
Right, so that's the question, right? How does knowing this about the creators of these platforms, how does that change how you think about your own social media use?
Yeah.
Does it make you think differently about it?
Yeah, does it validate any concerns you might already have?
Exactly.
Had.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And to leave you with one final thought.
Okay.
If the architects of this hyper-connected world are intentionally disconnecting themselves, what does that tell us about the nature of being online all the time?
Yeah.
Right.
Is it really as great as...
Is it really all it's cracked up to be?
Yeah.
What could you gain by setting some boundaries for yourself in this digital landscape?
Yeah.
Just something to think about.
Yeah. Really interesting stuff.
Yeah, lots to chew on.
Lots to chew on. All right. Thanks for joining us for another deep dive.
Absolutely.
See you next time.
See you later.